Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Etheria Restart video. So, guys, I want to preface this video by saying that this video is a critique of the game, not bashing the game. There's a difference between being negative and just being critical because you want the game to succeed. I know tons of people get upset with videos like this, but I really think the developers need to hear stuff like this sometimes. And I know it's not just only me. I know there's been other content creators that have been feeling like this. I don't know if they've made videos, but this game needs help. It really does. I think they're trending down a bad trajectory, which I don't like. I still really like this game, and I'm going to continue playing it because I enjoy PvP games. But you really need games like this to keep bringing in new players and then also retain players. So I did want to touch on some of the things that I think this game needs to do in order to maintain their current player base and ways to bring in new players. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is the developers came out with this developer log yesterday, and it says what's coming next. The problem is there's really nothing on here other than one thing that's kind of exciting, which is the shell forge. Like this is important. One of the issues that I have with this is it says it's still under active development. They need to expedite that like immediately. They need to expedite it immediately. It needs to be the top priority on their list for a couple reasons. But like, one of the issues I have with this is I think when they released this, I think they felt like this was a good thing. It's a bad thing. This is a bad thing. Most people can read through this and see that it's a nothing burger, and that's a problem. They're talking about like optimizations. They have one new event that will happen like once a month. Put in their rotation. They have some kind of improvement to the Dreamscape. I guess they do have this new PvE competitive mode, but it's just the boss. And I don't know if the rewards are just cosmetic or if you get like things that are truly valuable to your animus. They say animus growth materials. The thing is if there were lattices in there, I don't know why they wouldn't put that, because that would get people excited. That's a weird thing. If lattices are in there, we'll have to see. But I don't get a warm fuzzy by seeing growth materials. I'm thinking like, the imprints to increase your characters, or just like investigation stuff to increase XP. So if it's lattices, that's good, but we'll see how that ends up shaking out, because they still tend to be very, very stingy with the stuff that matters in this game. So yeah, there wasn't much in here. 2 more heroes or whatever, fine. So yeah, this I think is a net negative, and it's why I wanted to make this video. So one of the things that is a huge issue with this game, it's been the same way since the beginning, which is the RNG is just too much. The RNG is way too much, and the Shell Forge, why I say that it needs to be expedited is because it takes away one of the RNG aspects of this game, and that is just trying to acquire the perfect matrices, for a shell that you're hunting for. And that is awesome. That is great. And why it needs to be expedited, because if you get 2 shells, right? I'm just assuming they're going to do it the same as the module forge a month. You have more leeway then to go and farm and do whatever you want in regards to your energy, instead of really focusing just on shells. Now, the shell forge won't take away the need to farm shells, because you'll still have to do this to dismantle the shells to get the reconfig chips, right? It's the best way to get it. And once you take the RNG of needing to farm the right shell out of here, that means that every single shell that you get, you can dismantle, and you'll start to acquire a plethora of of these reconfig chips. So it kind of solves two problems. Now, they have to give you 2 shells. If they do 1 shell a month, like I will just, face palm. So I'm hoping they do that, but it only takes away the one aspect. The other thing that they'll have to do is they have to get rid of this slumba thing. Like at the time, it was a decent idea, but if you're now taking away the RNG of the matrix aspect of the shell that you get to choose, you just need to get rid of this, because then farming for reconfig chips, like having these drop, will feel really bad. So one benefit there, but yes, they really need to get rid of the slumba. That needs to be gone. The second thing that they need to do is I know that we have these 4x events. I know we have a module forge, but if you are an Inferno, you need to get rid of 2 matrix pieces and you need to get rid of 2 substat pieces. That is such a silly, silly thing. And the reason why I mention these RNG aspects is people leave whenever you log into the game every single day and you farm every single day and you don't get an improvement. That feels terrible. It feels terrible. You can still have RNG. It's okay to have RNG because that's where you get your dopamine as well, getting perfect pieces. But at the same time, if it's so bad that people just don't see any point of continuing to play your game because they don't ever improve, that is a issue. It's a real issue. So those 2 pieces are super easy for them to change. Like it's not even hard. You remove slumba, you come in here, you guarantee 3 matrix drops, and you guarantee 3 substat pieces. You fix, I think, about 50% of your problem, right? The other issue that the game has is plenty of people have left. There's been some really cool games that have come out. Not really in this space, which is why I think they still have time to salvage this, right? This is one of the newest games in this genre where it's turn-based and it has PvE and PvP. It's competing against stuff like Raid Shadow Legends, which is a huge whale fest, and then Epic 7, which I think is the premier game. And then you also have Summoner's War, right? But both with Summoner's War and Epic 7, those 2 games don't acquire like a whole lot of new players in the PvP space, because people like myself, I don't want to play those games because I'll feel like way too far behind. Where I started this one at the beginning, and this is still fresh enough for people where you are able to, still feel like you can be competitive. But I'll touch on that in a second with the big plan that I would have for Etheria if I was working for the team, right? So where was I with that? Oh, yeah. So they still have time to do this, but they can't be slow rolling these things with the Shell Forge. It's saying it's in development. You need to expedite that and release it now. You can't hope that a month from now it's going to be okay, because I'm guessing the numbers for October, which is the first full month of China, are going to be okay, but the month of November I don't think is going to be great. Just some speculation based on what I've seen from, the internal data with unions. Unions are harder to keep people active. I've had hard hits with my union. So it's just kind of stuff like that. So that might be anecdotal evidence, but you can just feel it. The other issue that the game has kind of created is it's a PvP game, right? But the fun PvP mode that they have here in Summit Arena, it's too long. The season is too long. Now, I know why they do this, because if the season is 60 days and they do tweaks to character, skills and stuff like that, every 2 months, that means that your lattice investment is going to be better over a longer period of time. But the issue with such a long season is it feels stale. I saw a comment on one of my videos the other day where it's like PvP is really boring to watch because it's the same characters. And there's a reason for that, right? The reason is that the format is already flushed itself out. and you can't invest lattices into new characters. You can't do it because there's just not enough. So you continue to have the same kind of gameplay, and you have to do it for another month now until tweaks come out where something else might be relevant or new characters are released, but it still takes time to build up the lattices. So they need to decrease this to once a month, and they need to give out more lattices. It just needs to be a thing. I don't care if in the rewards that this is doubled, like 2 lattices for reaching Mythic, 2 lattices for reaching Etheria Mythic, right? Like these things need to be a thing. Even your rank rewards at the end of the season, you need to give lattices. All of that stuff, you gotta jack that stuff up, or it is going to continue to feel stale in here. This is a real problem. Maybe even put it in the Summit Pass, have lattices at the end of it at level 50, to make people play this more. But it continues to need to be a thing. I know some people are going to be in the comments talking about, oh, they already give 12 It's not enough. I'm sorry, it's not enough. Heck, at this point, you might even need to, give enough lattices away where you can lattice 2 characters a month, which I know it seems excessive, but if you can pump out more characters and you have more variation on who's like a sleeper pick, that's what makes the game fun. I know you're trying to not release characters as often as possible, but if you increase the economy of the things that make the characters fun to play, I think the overall player base will find that more refreshing. You're always going to have people that, are negative, but you just kind of have to realize that whenever you're in this setting. Now, my big grand, I guess, plan, if I were to work for XD, is you need to have a collab. It's really the only way to get people that played the game originally back into the game and to bring in new players. But before you do that, you really have to iron out the other things that I mentioned. You have to get rid of the RNG for the thresholds, right? For your modules. You have to do triple matrix on Inferno. You have to do at least 3 substats as a drop. That is the bare minimum. The same thing with the Shell Forge. It needs to be expedited, and in the game, it can even be during the collab event, right? It can be there, but it needs to release at that point where people feel like, wow, okay, I got something pretty good here. On top of that, during that collab event, they need to give away so many rewards. They really do. They need to give away tons of lattices, and I would even dare to say what they need to do is if you're a returning player or even an existing player, because I know existing players feel left out whenever they do stuff like this, but at the end of that event, you should get the reward of picking a character, non-LD character that is fully latticed. I think that brings people back in droves. Yes, it'll take a hit to your bottom line, but if you don't have the player base to keep pumping out the revenue for you each and every month, your game is going to eventually die. There's just too much competition for you to lose players at the rate that you're losing them. So you certainly need to have a collab to bring it back in. I don't care if it's some unknown C-tier anime, C-tier cartoon. I don't care. You need something like that, and it needs to be this huge event. Huge. The game is, they said 6 months. I don't think it's been 6 months. Maybe it's been 6 months since the final beta. But you need to make it to a year, and then you have to have another grand event again, similar to the one that I suggested. But that's really what I see needing to happen. I didn't touch on the other changes that I think need to be made to the PvP meta that just sparks a whole bunch of negativity. But I do think those changes that I mentioned could make a huge difference. But in the meantime, I'm still playing. I'm still having fun. I'm sorry that it's not as fun to watch on the RTA side, just because, it's the same bruisers, it's the same crowd control, it's the same picks. Like, I get it, but just resources are limited, man. I think everyone knows that. So anyway, that's what I got for you guys today. Hope you're having a great Friday. Hope you have a great weekend. All right, catch you on the next one. See ya.